Beal. I am a elementary STEM teacher at Chamberlain Elementary in West Baton Rouge. I am going to be teaching a 3rd grade lesson today for you, and it's actually going to span across a week. So when you see it, it'll be broken up into the different days that I see them. The content being taught is actually a social studies lesson, and my goal as the STEM enrichment teacher is to take what they're learning in their homeroom class and add a STEM twist to it. So this is a social studies lesson for 3rd grade. They're talking about early settlers, and the driving question is, how have people changed the land and adapted to the physical environment in Louisiana? So I've taken what they needed to know in social studies, and we've engineered settlements and how to access the river and how to protect yourself from the river and how to get across the river. So there's a lot of engineering going on, but still plays on to that core knowledge that they have in social study. And in this class, it's actually an inclusion class. There's 2 DI students that are in here, and you'd never know. Because the engineering projects are creative and student-led, they are actually performing at whatever level is appropriate for them. Please be sure to check out any of the additional links for Flipgrid. The kids had a great time discussing with one another. You'll notice some of the supplemental pages that I put in there, how they've incorporated math into their STEM social studies lesson. And then also their rubric, where they grade their self, they grade their self as their team, and then I give them a grade. I think it's important to note that when these students come here, they don't get a letter grade for STEM enrichment, but I do hold them accountable for positive attitude and completion of tasks, all things that help them have a growth mindset. When that letter grade is taken away, the amount of creativity and risk that the students takes increases, and I hope that I can display that in the video that you see today. Okay, enjoy.
We have just arrived on the river, okay? We're in this whole new land that they call Louisiana. We are the early settlers. There's no roads, there's no houses, there's nothing. It's all fresh land, okay? You and your partner have to decide on what you're going to build in order to stay here. We need shelter, right? So you're going to have to build some sort of shelter along the river. Think about all the problems that come with the river. Okay? Erosion or flooding. Okay? So when you settle, I'm going to give you and your partner some materials. You get to build your new land. Okay? I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to plan. And then when the timer goes off, that's when we're going to start building. Okay? Okay. So I noticed that some of us might have had a bigger plan that we could finish in a short amount of time, right? So who would be sleeping under the stars tonight? There's quite a few of you. See the importance of starting small and then getting bigger? Okay?
All right, guys, I am so proud of how hard you worked on your communities. You really thought about what the best structures would be to have a sound house. So I have a few questions for you. What are some of the benefits? What is good about living along the river? So you settled on the river. What is great about living there? And then I want you to tell me what dangers there are on living on the river. So I want you and your partner to kind of think about that and then record me back with a response. Bye.
Hey, Miss Beal. Well, some benefits of living on the river is that you can travel and trade. And you can also drink the water and eat the fish from the river. So now Ben's gonna tell you what is the danger.
The dangers on the river are maybe like a flood happening.
at the nighttime when it rains too hard, so the river can overflow. I like the way how you say you traded with other people when you travel on the river. So you go to a different place to another, so you can trade with people and get the stuff that you need to survive.
So, we have built our communities. You've realized some of the benefits. You've realized some of the dangers of living on the river. Now, we need to think about how we can protect our settlement. What are some of the dangers of living on the river? Okay, Mackenzie?
Floods.
Floods, that's a big one we have, right? What else? I don't even want that water to come into my yard. What is something that could be done? What do we see every day when we drive to school, Paige? Levees. Raise your hand if you've seen the levee. Every hand should be up because we have it right outside of our school. Okay? And that levee helps protect us from what? The water. The floodwaters. You are going to brainstorm some ideas on how you can keep the river water from coming into your new settlement. So you're going to build a levee. Okay? So you've built your levees to protect your settlements. Now it's time to test, because that's part of our engineering process, right? Do you think that there's going to be any areas of weakness?
Because water can soak
Water can
here
soak-
because there's one crack here and it's gonna get inside.
Okay. Where do you think the strongest part will be, and why?
I think the strongest part will be where the sand is, because the sand's in a bag, and sand, a whole bunch of sand could be heavy.
It can be heavy, and what's the purpose of the bag?
To keep the sand from floating away.
Awesome. Okay, so let's test it out. You ready? Hurricane time.
I can't watch. I can't watch. It's going
And guess what? Your towns are flourishing. Everything is growing. You have lots of money coming in. But there's some supplies that you need on the other side of the river. There's jobs over there that you need. Okay? So you have to figure out a way to cross that river. Okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you what you have to build or how you have to build it. The only constraints that you have are your supplies. Everybody has the same exact supplies. So you're going to use those in a way to help you cross that river. While you're working, I want you to keep these things in mind, okay? You're going to grade yourself. So in the first set of boxes, this is what the grade that you're going to give yourself, okay? Then you're going to grade you and your partnership. And then I'm going to give you a grade. Okay, what's your feedback?
Your boat is a little heavy, so if it's in the water, it might sink down a little bit. Oh, but one thing I need to tell you, we only use 2 circles of Play-Doh, so that doesn't mean it's too heavy to float in. It's not too heavy, but it's just a little heavy. But I think it will still float. Well, what about those steam tanks? What are they made out of? What would it be made out of in real life? Like, would it be made out of metal or something? It would be made out of metal. So that could sink it. Metal could sink it. No, you're talking about real life. Boats that are made out of metal can't actually float. But one thing, last time in 2nd grade, I saw this video and someone had an ordinary box with a hole and it drowned.
All right, Mackenzie and Ben, tell us what you did.
We made a boat out of foil because it's cardboard. The boat was made out of cardboard, so we put this on it so the cardboard doesn't get water in it and then sink. I think one of your boats will work, but one of them may not. Which one do you think is going to work? This one, because this one has too much Play-Doh. Play-Doh is a solid matter. and it's solid is harder. It's solid.
So I want to go back to the bridge. We made our bridges yesterday, and we can really relate to this. How many of you crossed the Mississippi River Bridge? You've never crossed the bridge, Asa?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you have, right? Most of us have doctors on the other side of the bridge. We have what? Church. We have the stores that we go to that aren't over here. Luke,
My dad works on
your dad works on the other side. Hospitals are on the other side. Hey, is crossing the river something we do for fun, or is it something that we have to do all the time?
So we have to do all the time because, like, if we're sick or something, we have to go across the bridge.
If we get sick or something, we have to cross the bridge. Okay. What can we do to not have traffic? Kins?
Maybe make more lanes or like even build another bridge.
Make more lanes or build another bridge. I love it. Luke, do you agree, disagree? You want to add something?
I agree, and I think they could probably get more ferry boats.
More ferry boats. Wow, y'all are smart. So, if I were to invite Senator Hewitt in here, which hopefully she'll be coming soon, I want us to have one thing that we all stand behind and say, this is what the changes that we want to make. We see these problems, and here's the solution that we have. Okay? So, what is the one thing that you think would be the best way to change the physical environment of Louisiana right now, like we have been doing in the past, to make it more accommodating for the future? Mitch. Hello. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. I've tried to include a lot of the highlights where you could see the interaction between the students and not so much just me standing up there, because I think that the unit was overall student-led. In the Socratic seminar, we were able to talk about our overall driving question of how people of Louisiana have changed the physical environment of Louisiana to fit their needs. And I've included some of that in the video, and if you go to Flipgrid, you'll also see that they continued on those solutions and addressed it to Senator Hewitt. Now, Senator Hewitt is a former engineer, and so she's a huge proponent for STEM, and when I reached out to her, she said that she'd love to come to the classroom. So I think that would be a great opportunity for the kids to use their own voice to help their real world problems, help find those solutions. There were quite a few improvements that I would make as I was teaching. I would jot them down so that the next time I taught it, I could make it a little better. One of the things was to limit the materials given to the students on the first engineering project. They were given free range of materials. They can get what they wanted, build it however they wanted. And I realized that this was too much for them, and that they didn't have the time to finish because they were building these elaborate castles instead of just a functional structure. So the next time that they engineered something, I gave them a list that they could choose from, and then the following time after that, I gave them only a certain amount of materials, and then they could engineer from that. So I think it kept them on the straight and narrow. And another thing that I realized I needed to do was when I put 2 pieces of tape on their table, the blue tape to represent the river, and they had to build a boat or a bridge, they had a hard time conceptualizing an actual river. And they kept saying, well, where are you going to pour the water? And so I might need to have more of a dimensional area that they would build across, because the tape designating the river wasn't enough for some of them. But overall, I was really impressed with how much they worked together and how they were willing to think and take risk and be wrong or congratulate or encourage each other to dig a little bit deeper. So I hope that you enjoy it. I enjoyed every minute of teaching it, so I hope that I could highlight some of that for you. Thanks again. Bye-bye.